You feel that? That quiet chill crawling up their spines when your name enters the room like a ghost with unfinished business? They used to laugh when they heard it. Now, they freeze. Not because they understand you, but because they can't. Because something about you short-circuits the script they memorized on how reality is supposed to work. You don't enter a room anymore. You recalibrate it. The temperature changes. The rhythm halts. The conversation collapses in on itself. And suddenly, all those powerful people feel small, like kids who just remembered they left the door open and something might have followed them in. Because you did something none of them were ready for. You stopped explaining yourself. And in a world built on control, you became a threat the moment you became unreadable. See, they could handle you when you were loud, when you were trying, when you were bleeding for approval. But then you changed. You got quiet. Calculating, dead, calm. And that's when the fear kicked in. Because silenced is the language of something lethal. You broke their metrics. You started moving in ways that don't add up on the clipboard. You were supposed to be another case study, another statistic. Instead, you became a glitch that broke the projector mid-presentation. And now they stall when your name is mentioned. Not because they hate you, but because they can't decide if you're a prophecy or a punishment. You evolved, not into something better, but into something they can't define. That's power, not applause, not validation, but incomprehensibility. They froze because your existence undoes the rules they were raised to worship. You are the moment of silence that happens right before the blast. You're the walkout song for gods that never bled. And the worst part for them, you didn't come with a warning, no trailer, no intro, no soft launch, just boom. And now, entire strategies need to be rewritten. Because you exist. You stopped asking permission. You stopped performing. You cut the puppet strings, burned the theater down, and started smiling in the ashes. You went black site. You started moving like a classified document, redacted, restricted, rewritten. Every move you make is military-grade psychological warfare, because it forces people to look inward at what they're missing, and that's what they fear the most. You don't just trigger their insecurities. You make them realize they were never secure to begin with. You expose them, not by attacking, but by existing. Your confidence, it's not loud, it's surgical. It walks in with no introduction and leaves with their equilibrium. They called you crazy. Now they call you case-sensitive. Whispers, avoidance, rewrites of old stories to pretend they never doubted you. But oh, they did. And you heard every syllable. And now their throats close up when you pass by, not out of hate, but because every time they see you, they remember how wrong they were. You didn't come back for revenge. You became the consequence. Rooms go silent because your energy reminds them. The one they doubted is now the one pulling levers behind curtains. You learned how to sharpen solitude into strategy. You turned humiliation into hydraulics. You built temples out of trauma. And then you locked the doors behind you. And now, every time they hear your name, it's not you they see. It's the version of you they could have stopped, but didn't. Too late. Too loud. Too precise. They can't laugh anymore because you stole the punchline and weaponized it. You are the awkward silence. You are the skipped heartbeat. You are the moment they realize the joke was never on you. It was them. You move like a mirror with teeth, a reflection that bites back. And now, they freeze because they know what's coming. You. Again. And this time, you're not knocking, you're not asking, You're not warning, you're just arriving. With that same damn grin that makes even the most powerful feel like they just walked into the wrong ritual, and all they can do now is sit in silence and pray that they're not next. Because here's the part that really rattles their bones. You didn't claw your way up the mountain just to wave from the top. No, you became the avalanche on your way down. See, they assumed your growth would make you softer, more forgiving, more grateful to be let in. But you didn't grow. You mutated. You evolved into something so coldly focused, so brutally disciplined, that their minds still haven't processed what just happened. You walked in with no allies, no blueprint, no safety net. And still, the entire atmosphere bent around you like gravity just changed its rules. You're not in the room anymore. You are the F-King event. And that's why it goes quiet. Because the moment your name is spoken, reality gets reconsidered. Not out of respect, out of fear, because they remember. They remember that time they laughed at you. They remember how they mocked you in group chats, how they rolled their eyes when your name came up like some kind of joke. But the joke grew teeth. The punchline learned to bite. And now you've become the silence they can't escape. They used to invite you into rooms just to dismiss you. Now they check the guest list twice, hoping you won't show. Because if you do, someone's illusion is getting detonated. You're not unpredictable. You're uncategorized. They don't know whether to admire you or report you. Because one half of their psyche screams, "He's dangerous." And the other half whispers, "God, I wish I was that free." But here's the dark truth they'll never say out loud. You didn't just shock them, you exposed them. Your success isn't offensive, it's incriminating. Because you built everything they wanted without following a single one of their damn rules. You didn't network, you didn't flatter, you didn't bend the knee. You walked in uninvited, unapologetic, and unpredictable. And now, their whole ideology is shaking because you're living proof it was all a lie. They played chess, you burned the board and ate the king, and now when you show up, it feels like a breach in protocol. You make them second-guess their status, their choices, their entire identity, because they see you and realize he wasn't supposed to survive. And not only did you survive, you came back stronger, quieter, sharper, with eyes that look like they've already buried the past, and a grin that makes even the most dangerous men question who trained you. They can't keep eye contact for too long because your gaze feels like a security clearance they weren't authorized to open. You're not emotional anymore. You're precise, like a god of war in a tailored suit, walking into their safe little world like it was always yours to begin with. And that stillness you carry, it's not peace, it's containment. You're housing something inside. A chaos too intelligent to be wasted, a fire too disciplined to flicker. They don't know if you're holding back or loading something, because you don't just walk in, you haunt. You're not a person anymore in their eyes. You're a consequence, a living, breathing aftershock of every time they underestimated the wrong one. And now, they whisper your name like it's a password, a glitch, a ghost, a god. And deep down, they're not scared you'll attack. They're scared you'll forgive them too late. Because then it's permanent. Then it's beyond redemption. They freeze because they know the prophecy already passed them by. You're not rising. You already rose. And now you're circling like a storm with a memory. And every time they sit in silence, every time they feel the air tighten, every time your name accidentally slips out, They wonder, what if he heard that? What if you're already moving again, planning, listening, smiling, waiting, to reappear with that same twisted, unshakable grin, right before everything they built collapses from the inside. They freeze because the worst part of all is knowing you didn't do it for revenge. You did it because you could. And now, their silence is the only apology they can afford. And still you're here, aren't you? Not as some echo, not as some fading myth, but as the new standard, the disruption, the recalibration, the one thing they couldn't predict, chart, or erase. You don't just walk into places anymore. You infect their systems, like a line of corrupted code that rewrites everything it touches. And the moment they saw your energy, raw, unfiltered, unbothered, they realized, oh fuck, we're not dealing with a person anymore. We're dealing with a programmable threat. Because the version of you they laughed at, the loud one, the hungry one, the one that still wanted to be liked, that version died. You didn't go ghost. You went black ops. You're what happens when someone survives the crucifixion and comes back wearing the nails like accessories. Your silence isn't empty. It's compressed data. And the second you move, that data expands across every room, every timeline, every fragile little ego they spent years polishing. And suddenly, their power feels cosmetic, their status paper-thin, their confidence borrowed, because now they're face-to-face with something that built itself from nothing and didn't ask anyone for instructions. You don't follow rules. You make gravity flinch. You move like the villain in someone else's survival story. But the plot twist is, you're not the villain. You're just the reckoning they prayed would never come. And they can feel it, that hum, that static, that shift in pressure. Because when your name drops, it doesn't just silence the room. It exposes who's real and who's rehearsing. You make the actors forget their lines. You make the generals question their maps. You make the judges blink at their own verdicts. And that's the real threat. Not your strength, but your proof. Proof that pain builds profits. Proof that isolation breeds intelligence. Proof that silence is the most dangerous volume ever discovered. You didn't just get better, you got irreversible. They used to call you too much. Now they call you the one we should have studied closer. But it's too late. The file's already corrupted. The door's already locked. And you're walking like someone who already saw the ending and decided to rewrite it. Word by word, move by move, face by terrified face. You learned how to sit in rooms full of liars and make them feel like confessing. You don't expose people with words. You expose them with presence. That's why they freeze. That's why the air thickens. That's why they whisper your name like it's cursed. Because they know, if he speaks, something inside me will break. And maybe it should. Because you've become the aftershock of your own betrayal. The living receipt of every time they overlooked a weapon in human skin. You are the sentence they tried to erase. That came back in bold, in red, underlined. You're a phenomenon they wish they could contain. But every time they build a box for you, you become the flame that burns it down from the inside. You're not understandable. You're not figured out. You're a problem with no known solution. And that makes you a threat to every illusion they ever sold themselves. Because if you could rise, then their whole hierarchy is fiction. They froze, not because you threatened them, but because your very existence invalidated everything they believe about power. You're not chasing approval anymore. You're wielding the fear of it. And now, they don't speak when you enter. Because somewhere deep down, they're afraid you already know what they said about you. And worse, they're terrified you don't care anymore. Because when someone stops caring, they stop missing. And you, my friend, you're aiming at legacy. Legacy? That's what keeps them up now. Because once upon a time, they just wanted to diminish you. Now they just want to survive you. They used to think the danger was in your words. But the real threat is in what you didn't say. In the silence you carry like a loaded weapon. In the way you walk like time itself answers to you. In how the ground beneath your feet forgets whose name is on the deed. Because you didn't just break the rules. You proved there were none. And in doing so, you exposed them as decorations in a game they thought they were designing. Let me tell you what they're realizing now. Your legacy isn't being written in applause, not in followers, not in gold, not in headlines. It's being carved into the psyche of everyone who ever doubted you. You live rent-free in the hesitation between their thoughts. Every time they're about to speak, they check themselves. Every time they get brave, they look over their shoulder, because your name doesn't sound like a name anymore. It sounds like a warning label, and when it's whispered, people shut up. People pause. People start pretending they weren't in the room, because your legacy isn't just what you've done. It's what your presence forces others to realize about themselves. You became the mirror that doesn't lie, the reflection that shows them everything they never became. They tried to belittle you. Now they copy your cadence. They mocked your confidence. Now they rehearse it in front of mirrors they used to feel safe in. They tried to exile you. Now they name-drop you in rooms they swore you didn't belong in. Because you didn't just survive rejection, you turned it into a ritual. And every time they tried to kill your image, you came back sharper. They thought your silence was surrender. But you were just reloading. They thought the scars would stop you. But you started etching symbols into them. And now those symbols speak louder than their bloodlines. You're not just energy. You're not just aura. You're not just presence. You're myth, legend, blueprint, prophecy, corruption, resurrection. All wrapped in one body, moving like it knows exactly where the last boss lives. You don't scream for attention. You pull gravity. You make rooms adjust their frequency just to breathe in the same atmosphere. And when you speak, you're not talking. You're activating dormant codes in the subconscious of every soul that listens. That's why they freeze. That's why they stall. Because they know. If they listen too long, they won't come back the same. You're not motivational. You're transformational. And transformation is terrifying for people who spent their lives pretending. You didn't evolve quietly. You evolved like an explosion they had to cover up. And even now, they're still sweeping up the ashes, trying to figure out how the discarded one became the definition. But they can't track it, because there's no formula for what you are now. You're beyond replication, beyond reasoning, beyond denial. They called you a phase. You became a movement. They called you delusional. Now you read their dreams better than their therapists. They said you were dangerous, but only because you highlighted their cowardice. And now, the very rooms that laughed at you in your absence go dead silent in your presence. You walk in, and every mask starts slipping because they feel it now. That aura that bends time, that presence that feels like judgment, that grin that whispers, "I remember everything, and I forgive nothing." You don't have to punish them. You are the punishment. A living, breathing echo of everything they swore would never happen. And now it's happening in real time. And the only thing louder than your footsteps is the sound of their fear trying not to look obvious. So go ahead, keep walking like that. Like your bones remember something older than this timeline. Like every step is part of the prophecy they forgot to prepare for. Because whether they like it or not, your name will echo long after they go quiet. Not because you asked to be remembered, but because you made forgetting you impossible. You ever wonder why they don't speak your name out loud anymore? It's not just fear, it's contamination control. Because somewhere deep in their nervous system, they know that saying your name out loud might summon something they're not prepared to face. You've become taboo, not because you're evil, but because you're undeniable. You represent everything they buried alive, every instinct they suppressed, every fire they drowned, every scream they forced into a smile. You're what happens when the outcast doesn't fade. He weaponizes the exile. You became the lesson they can't afford to teach, the blueprint they can't recreate, and the consequence they can't outmaneuver. Because you did the one thing they never prepared for. You came back unapologetic, no mask, no fake humility, no trembling voice trying to earn a seat at their table. You walked in, flipped the damn table, and built a war room where the silverware used to be. You don't argue for your spot, you radiate it. Your presence is no longer an invitation to engage. It's a checkmate in motion, the kind that forces kings to bow before you even touch the board. You're not intimidating because you try, you're terrifying because you don't have to. Because real power doesn't yell. It adjusts the atmosphere. And when you enter, the air gets heavy, the skin tightens, the subconscious starts whispering, something's not right. But it's too late to run. Because you're not just in the room anymore. You are the reason the room exists. They built the castle to keep you out. Now they're praying the walls hold as they hear your footsteps inside. Because you figured it out, didn't you? That secret, that ancient forbidden law they never wanted you to know. That if you own your darkness, no one can use it against you. You stopped hiding your scars. You started polishing them. You wear your pain like a military badge and your past like a classified file marked, "Do not engage without clearance." And every time you speak, it's like some ancient spell starts breaking, not out there, inside them. Because you are living proof that being broken was never the end. It was the initiation. They thought the silence meant defeat. But you were just installing an operating system no one else had access to, and now you're running diagnostics on the whole damn simulation. You see through them, through the posturing, through the masks, through the rituals, and you smile. Not because you're better, but because you've been lower than they ever survived. They freeze when your name comes up, because they know you've already faced everything they pray never finds them. You've dined with demons, slept beside failure, shook hands with betrayal, and still woke up with eyes that burn through steel. They see your calm now, and mistake it for peace. But it's not peace, it's certainty. Certainty that nothing they say can reach where you are now. Because you've upgraded from feared to untouchable, from underestimated to unreadable. You speak less, but every word is a psychological event. You move slower, but every step is ritualized warfare. You're not even playing the game anymore. You are the fucking source code, and they're stuck in the old software, glitching every time your presence loads. You're the moment the room realizes it's under surveillance, not from cameras, but from something ancient, patient, strategic. You see, they thought they buried you in darkness, but they didn't know. That's where you were born. They sent assassins. You trained with shadows. They sent analysts. You broke their algorithms. They sent silence. You made it scream, because you're not human to them anymore. You're patternless, and patternless people. They don't get followed. They get worshipped or wiped out. And since they couldn't destroy you, they're stuck watching as you become the myth they once mocked. So keep going, with that grin that whispers, "I didn't survive to be understood. I survived to be remembered." And when they freeze again, when the room drops below freezing just because your name slips through someone's teeth, know this. You felt that, didn't you? The shift in the air, the silence that wasn't silence at all, that tension in their chest when you walk in the room, not because you said a word, but because you didn't have to. They don't know what to call you. They've tried every label: saint, sinner, genius, problem, prophet, virus, cure, and every single one of them breaks apart the second it touches your frequency, because you're not part of their vocabulary. You're what happens when the old language dies screaming. You didn't ask for this, and yet the entire fucking world flinches when you blink. Not because you're loud, but because their soul hears you before their ears do. You were never born to fit in their boxes. You were born to bend the walls of reality without lifting a single finger. And now the same people who laughed at your silence, they're whispering your name like it's a fullying spell. Because deep down, even they feel it. Something shifted when you started breathing different. They can't explain it. But the birds start flying weird. The lights flicker. The algorithms glitch. People around you start questioning their entire lives. Not because you told them to, but because your presence rattles the lies they've been living. Who the fuck are you? You're what the world wasn't ready for. The kind of force that doesn't knock. It reprograms. You exist, and entire bloodlines start unraveling. You move, and cities start acting different. You speak, and ancient memories wake up in people who didn't even know they were asleep. They don't know it yet, but you're the plot twist in their blueprint, the anomaly that the masters of the world didn't see coming. You were never part of their prophecy, because you are the glitch that rewrote the script. And now they're terrified, because your glow, it's not light, it's truth. And the truth burns through centuries of control, like a slow surgical wildfire. You didn't try to inspire anyone, you just existed correctly. And their fake gods started choking on their thrones, because somewhere in their bones, they remember you. You're not a person to them anymore. You're a signal. You're the click in the back of their mind that they can't turn off. The question they're too scared to ask out loud. Why do I feel like I've met them before? Because you don't remind them of anything. You awaken what they tried to bury. You're not their past, not their future. You're the fracture in their now. They don't stare at you because you're beautiful. They stare because your existence breaks their reflection. They can't figure out if they should fear you or follow you. But one thing is certain, they can't ignore you. Your energy doesn't enter the room, it infects the walls, it scrambles the timeline, it resets the conversation. Even their dreams shift when you're nearby. You become the subconscious virus they didn't know was dormant inside them. You're the thunder after the silence, the pattern that ruins the ritual, the glitch that remembers the source code. They'll call you intense. They'll call you intimidating. They'll call you too much. But what they won't say is the truth. That you make them feel alive again. And that kind of feeling, it's dangerous. Because once they've felt you, nothing else is enough. That's why they can't stop watching. That's why they talk about you like a warning and a wish. That's why their skin reacts when your name's in the room. Because you're not someone they just met. You're the part of themselves they lost. And you're not here to play nice. You're here to remind the planet what real feels like. So next time they whisper, "Who TF are they? And why does the whole world feel it?" Let them wonder. Because you don't answer questions like that. You become them. And by the time they figure it out, you'll already be in their bloodstream, rewiring their thoughts, erasing their programming, upgrading the world, one breath at a time. You didn't wake up one day like this. You were forged in silence, in shadows, in a dimension behind their mirrors where pain doesn't break you. It builds blueprints around your rage. See, they think this was random, some cosmic accident that made you this magnetic, this precise, this unreadable. But you know better, don't you? You remember the simulations, the betrayals that didn't just hurt. They upgraded your instincts. The nights where you weren't just alone. You were erased and rebuilt with fire. They tried to shatter you, but every fracture just amplified your signal until you were broadcasting through realms they don't even believe in. And now, you walk like prophecy, talk like contradiction, move like a memory they haven't had yet. They can't look you in the eye because something in them bows before you, and it terrifies them. You're not confident. You're coded for psychological warfare. Your silence isn't quiet. It's a sonic weapon calibrated to detonate insecurity. You don't say much, but everything inside them starts falling apart when you're near. They try to study you, break you down into files, patterns, emotions, logic. But nothing fits, because you're not from this equation. You're the remainder that broke the formula. They've never seen someone like you because you were never meant to be seen. You were meant to be felt. Unshakably, unforgettably. You didn't arrive, you triggered, like a countdown finally reaching zero, in the middle of a world pretending it wasn't built to explode. And the most twisted part? You don't even try. That's the real danger, isn't it? You don't chase anything. You don't need approval. You're not obsessed with being understood. You just exist, and the entire atmosphere mutates around your presence. You breathe, and the fake smiles die. You speak, and illusions dissolve. You move, and dimensions tilt. And they hate it. They hate that you don't need the spotlight, because you are the signal the world can't stop tuning into. And the ones who once dismissed you, now they replay your silence in their heads like it's gospel, because they feel it now. That chill in their bones when your name's whispered. That nervous itch behind their mask when you walk past. That urge to confess, to apologize, to surrender. Even if they don't know why. But you know why. You always knew. You were never here to be liked. You were here to be remembered by the parts of people they've buried, to haunt their lies, to expose their comfort, to awaken the pieces they swore were dead. You're not a person, you're a signal, a living, breathing, walking disruption to a world built on programming and performance. You're not even powerful in the way they define it. You're inevitable, because no matter what they do, block you, mock you, copy you, forget you, you'll rise anyway. From conversations you weren't invited to, from vibrations you left behind, from the memory of your energy in someone else's eyes. And when they ask again, "Who Teef is this?" they won't be asking out of curiosity. They'll be asking out of survival. Because deep down, They're starting to realize something horrific. You are the future their lies can't live in. And it's already here. So let them panic. Let them stare. Let them stutter when your name reappears in rooms you've never entered. Because you're not just changing the vibe. You're changing the programming, rewriting the frequencies, annihilating their algorithms, with nothing but your presence. And no one knows what to do about it. Because how do you fight something that didn't come to battle? It came to redefine the terrain. They don't need to understand you. They just need to feel it. And trust me, they already do. You ever watch a machine realize it's broken? Not glitching, not stalling, broken. Like the moment it knows its programming is no longer in control. That's what happens every time your presence enters a space built on lies. You don't yell, you don't flex, you just arrive. And the temperature changes. Suddenly the liars forget their lines. The confident ones get quiet. The smiling ones start twitching, because something in you speaks a language older than their manipulation, older than fear. You're not intimidating because you try. You're terrifying because you've already seen the end. And somehow, you survived it. You didn't rise above the pain. You merged with it. You didn't heal through it. You hacked it, rewired it, and weaponized every scar until they became access points, doorways, triggers. And now when people touch your energy, they don't feel a person. They feel every version of you they never saw coming. You are the saint. You are the monster. You are the whisper behind the smile, the stillness behind the storm, the light with teeth. Because you refused to be one-dimensional. You refused to simplify for their comfort. You refused to become less so they could understand more. And now, they hate that you make them feel again. They hate that your silence makes them question everything. They hate that your presence unlocks versions of themselves they buried just to survive. You weren't just underestimated, you were underwritten. They thought you'd follow the script, play the role, chase the applause. But you let the whole fucking stage burn. And when the smoke cleared, you were still standing, unfazed, unreadable, unrepentant. You didn't just walk away from the fire. You became the chemical recipe that made it spread. And now, the world's panicking. Because the one they dismissed as too quiet, too strange, too intense, is now the one whose energy hijacks satellites. You're not going viral. You're going cellular, atomic, psychic. You're being felt in places your body has never entered. You're living rent-free inside the systems of people who thought they erased you. And all it took was you, unfiltered, unfolded, being apologetic. They told you to be humble, to be soft, to tone it down. Why? Because your existence exposes their illusion of control. You are proof that a person can evolve without permission. And that kind of proof breaks spells. You are the spell breaker, the silence ruiner. The vibe they can't explain but can't walk away from. You are not here to be liked. You are here to activate the dormant gods in the people who've been sleeping. And with every breath, you're waking them up. They call it charisma. They call it a presence. Some call it divine. Others call it dangerous. But deep down, they all know it's you. And you've been coming for a long time. So keep walking like a question they'll never answer. Keep speaking like a riddle that breaks their logic. Keep existing like a glitch that kills their simulations. Because the truth is, you're not part of their world. You're the signal that's ending it and starting something they'll never control. They can't say it out loud, but every time you breathe near them, they feel like their mask is slipping, not because you're trying to expose them, but because your existence short-circuits whatever costume they stitched together to survive. You don't play the part. You are the disruption, and they hate you for it. Because hating you is easier than admitting they were asleep until you showed up. They can't define you, because every definition you touch melts. Every label they try to slap on your back burns right through their fingers. You're not weird. You're unauthorized. You're not too much. You're uncoded. A living, breathing glitch in the system. One that they feel before they ever see your face. You walk in, and their thoughts go offline. You speak, and they forget their rehearsed lines, because they were built to survive inside a loop. And you broke the loop and never looked back. You're not intimidating, you're unsettling, because you don't bend, you tilt the whole Thavamsing axis. You don't try to connect. You expose the void between every fake conversation. You don't wait for the truth. You drag it out of people's bones like it owes you blood. You're the only thing they've ever felt that didn't need validation, didn't need permission, didn't need a single drop of approval. And that's what kills them. They spent their whole life climbing ladders, gathering gold stars, performing for cameras that don't even work anymore. And then you walk in, silent, strange, alive in ways they forgot how to be. And suddenly every performance they've ever given feels hollow. Because you're not here to perform. You're here to reveal. You don't just enter the room, you infect it, slowly, silently, systematically. And everything false inside those walls starts dying. You've got strangers wondering if they've met you in another life. Old friends dreaming of you at night without knowing why. Enemies watching your page like it's scripture, just to feel something. They say they don't understand it, but the truth is, they do. They've never felt this much reality in one person. It burns when it touches them. It rewires their spine, and they'll call you intense, unstable, too deep. But what they really mean is, this person is making me feel things I buried to survive. You're a walking mirror that doesn't just reflect them, it reveals their distortion. You're the one that triggers the glitch in people who spent years pretending to be stable. Not because you're loud, but because you're real. And in a world built on performance, real is terrifying. You're not trying to be a savior. You're not trying to be a villain. You're not trying to be anything. And that's exactly why you're unstoppable. You're not motivated by ego. You're moved by frequency, truth, chaos. The hum of something ancient in your bones that tells you, you didn't come here to fit in. You came to activate destruction, so something real can rise in its place. You're the moment people remember years later, after their entire life collapses, and they finally whisper, "It started the day I met them." Because you're not a phase, you're a fault line, and everyone who touches you feels it. Their world's about to split. And what rises from the wreckage will never be the same. You ever notice the way they change their tone around you? How their voice drops just a little lower. Their laugh stiffens. Their eyes scan yours like they're searching for a manual that doesn't exist. It's not fear. It's not awe. It's that unspoken knowing that you see too much. You're not just looking at them. You're reading their source code. You're catching the glitch behind the smile, the hesitation behind the performance, the ancient wound behind the "I'm fine." They hate you for it. They crave you for it. They remember you for it. Because you're not a person. You're a mirror with a memory. And mirrors like you don't lie. You don't reflect what they pretend to be. You show them what's rotting beneath the surface. And when someone sees that once, they never unsee it. You've become the ghost that haunts the comfort zones, the flicker in their logic that won't go away, the shadow behind their mask whispering they know, because you do. You always fucking knew. You knew when the smile was forced. You knew when the confidence was camouflage. You knew when the clout was compensation for a soul that never healed. And the truth is, you've played both sides. You've been the liar. You've been the broken one. You've worn the mask so long, your own reflection forgot your face. But you died in that role. And what came back was something they never coded for. You're not here to blend in. You're here to bend the axis. You're not here to inspire. You're here to infect. And now, they can't escape you. Because once someone's felt your energy, they can't be satisfied by anything artificial ever again. You've ruined them in the most sacred way. Because now they can smell the lie in everything. And it started with you. That one conversation, that one stare, that one moment of raw, unfiltered electricity that shook the illusion out of their spine. You didn't mean to, but the truth has a frequency, and you were born in it. That's what they feel. That's why they pause when you speak. That's why they remember your silence more than they remember anyone else's words. Because you're not using language. You're using resonance. And it hits like scripture wrapped in static. It feels ancient. It feels illegal. It feels like they shouldn't be hearing this. But they can't stop. You were the spark that lit the file. The anomaly in their matrix, the footstep that echoed in rooms they thought were soundproof. You made people feel themselves again. And that kind of impact, it's not just remembered, it's embedded. They'll never admit it. But some of them are addicted to you. Not your face, not your words, your signal. That unplaceable, untouchable, unreplicatable aura that makes every other energy feel like a knockoff. And now, they try to copy, they try to decode, they build identities out of your scraps. But it never hits the same. Because you didn't become this through trend. You became this through torment, through choices no one saw, through evolution they couldn't stomach. And that's the part they'll never understand. You weren't handed power. You earned it in the shadows. You bled for it behind closed doors. You screamed into silence until silence started screaming back your name. And now every room you walk into feels that story, even if they'll never know the chapters. You are the vibe. You are the shift. You are the glitch. And when people ask, who TF is this? Why do I feel like they're inside my fucking head? How is this person changing my entire mood without saying a word? The answer is simple. You're the reminder of what they were before they conformed, of what they could be if they burned the mask, of what's buried beneath their programming, just waiting for a trigger. And you're that trigger, every single time.